Please, I'm begging you, let's close it. I can't do this anymore. Marcus was sitting at our kitchen table, 2 in the morning, tears streaming down his face. His hands were shaking so bad he couldn't even hold his coffee mug. This was the same man who, 6 months ago, sat in that exact same chair and told me that opening our marriage would be the best thing we ever did. That it would bring us closer. That it would save us from becoming one of those boring couples who forget how to want each other. Funny how things change. If you're still here, let me tell you how we got to this moment. Because trust me, I didn't see it coming either. My name is Sarah. I'm 32 years old, and I had been married to Marcus for 7 years when this whole thing started. We met in college, dated for 3 years, got married in a beautiful ceremony in Austin, Texas, surrounded by 200 people who told us we were perfect for each other. And for a long time I believed them. Marcus was everything I thought I wanted. Tall, ambitious, funny in that dry way that made me feel like we shared a secret language. He worked in tech, made good money, and always knew the right restaurants to take me to. On paper, we were the couple everyone envied. But here's what nobody tells you about marriage. Somewhere around year 5, the fire doesn't just dim. It goes out so slowly you don't even notice until you're sitting in the dark, wondering when the last time you actually wanted to rip each other's clothes off was. Our sex life became scheduled. Saturdays, usually. Sometimes Wednesdays if we were feeling adventurous. It was fine. It was comfortable. It was killing me slowly, but I didn't have the words for it back then. I should have noticed the signs earlier. I should have asked why Marcus started listening to all those podcasts about modern relationships and ethical non-monogamy. I should have questioned why he kept sending me articles about couples who opened their marriages and came out stronger. But I was too busy convincing myself that everything was fine, that we were fine. The first time he brought it up, we were eating Thai food on the couch, watching some forgettable Netflix show. He muted the TV and turned to me with this look on his face, this rehearsed look. "I've been thinking about something," he said. "And I need you to hear me out before you react." My stomach dropped. In 7 years of marriage, nothing good ever followed those words. What if we opened our marriage? I laughed. Actually laughed. Because I thought he was joking. Marcus, my Marcus, who got jealous when the barista smiled at me too long, wanted an open marriage. But he wasn't laughing. He was dead serious. "Just hear me out," he said. "I've been doing a lot of research. There are so many couples who do this and it actually makes them closer. It takes the pressure off. We stop expecting one person to be everything for us, and we appreciate what we have even more." I put down my pad thai. My appetite was gone. "Are you not happy with me?" "That's not what this is about," he said, and he reached for my hand. "I love you. I'm so in love with you. But I think we've gotten comfortable. I think we need something to shake us up. To remind us why we chose each other." Looking back, I should have asked why he was so prepared with arguments, like he'd been rehearsing this conversation for weeks. Maybe months. But I didn't ask. I was too busy trying not to cry. We talked for 3 hours that night. Or rather, he talked, and I listened. He had statistics, studies, success stories from Reddit threads and podcast episodes. He made it sound so logical, so evolved. Like refusing would mean I was closed-minded, insecure, not mature enough to handle a modern relationship. I said no, firmly, clearly, and then I went to bed and cried myself to sleep while he stayed in the living room, probably already planning his next approach. But Marcus didn't give up. Over the next 2 months, he kept bringing it up. Casually at first, then more insistently. He'd leave his laptop open on articles about polyamory. He'd mention couples he knew from work who had arrangements. He started suggesting we weren't growing anymore, that our relationship had become stagnant, and that this was the solution. Have you ever agreed to something just to keep the peace? just to make someone stop looking at you with disappointment. That was me. One night, after yet another conversation that left me feeling like I was failing some kind of test, I finally said yes. Not because I wanted it. Not because I believed in it. Because I was terrified that if I kept saying no, he would leave. Or worse, he would stay but resent me forever. We set rules. So many rules. Full transparency about who we were seeing. Veto power if either of us felt uncomfortable. No sleeping with anyone in our social circle. No developing feelings. That was the big one. Physical connections only. If emotions got involved, it was over. Marcus typed them all into a shared Google Doc like we were negotiating a business contract. I remember watching him, his fingers moving quickly across the keyboard, and thinking he's been waiting for this. He's ready. What I didn't know yet was that Marcus already has someone in mind. Bloco 2D4. The first week after we agreed, Marcus went on a date. He came home at midnight smelling like perfume and whiskey, with this glow on his face I hadn't seen in years. He kissed me on the forehead and said, "That was fun. Thank you for trusting me." I wanted to throw up. He followed the rules. He told me her name was Jessica, that she was someone he met through a dating app, that they had dinner and drinks and ended up at her place. He gave me just enough details to technically satisfy our transparency agreement, but not enough for me to actually picture it. I think that was intentional. That night, I lay in bed next to him while he fell asleep within minutes, and I stared at the ceiling wondering what the hell I had agreed to. My husband had just slept with another woman. With my permission. And somehow I was supposed to be okay with it. Evolved. Modern. I felt like a fool. The next few weeks were the loneliest of my marriage. Marcus went out twice a week, sometimes 3 times. He was happier than I'd seen him in years. More attentive even. He brought me flowers, planned date nights. Told me how much he loved me. It was like the affair was recharging him, and he was bringing that energy back to us. But I couldn't shake the feeling that I was being left behind. My friends told me to try it. "You agreed to the rules," my best friend Megan said over wine one night. "You might as well get something out of it too." She helped me set up a profile on one of those apps. We took photos, wrote a bio that made me sound way more confident than I felt. I swiped half-heartedly for a few days, matching with men I had no intention of meeting. And then I matched with Dante. His profile was simple. A few photos, nothing showy. He was 38, divorced, worked as a chef at a restaurant downtown. His bio just said, "Looking for real conversations with real people. No games." I don't know why I swiped right. Maybe because he looked kind. Maybe because he wasn't trying too hard. Maybe because I was tired of feeling like the boring wife waiting at home while her husband lived his best life. We talked for a week before meeting. Not flirty stuff, just actual conversations. About our lives, our disappointments, our weird little habits. He told me about his divorce, how his ex-wife had fallen out of love with him gradually, and then suddenly, how he'd spent 2 years rebuilding himself from scratch. I told him about my marriage, about the open arrangement, about feeling like I was losing myself. He didn't judge. He just listened. Our first date was at a quiet wine bar in East Austin. I was so nervous I almost canceled 3 times. But when I walked in and saw him sitting at the corner table, something in my chest unknotted. He stood up to greet me, and his smile was so warm I forgot to be afraid. We talked for 4 hours. 4 hours. I can't remember the last time Marcus and I talked for 4 hours about anything. Dante asked me questions nobody had asked in years. What did I want out of life? What made me feel alive? What was I most afraid of? And he actually listened to my answers. He leaned in. He remembered details. He made me feel like the most interesting person in the room. When the bar closed, we walked to our cars and stood in the parking lot like teenagers who didn't want the night to end. "I'd really like to see you again," he said. "I'd like that too." He kissed me, soft, slow, questioning. It was the kind of kiss that asks permission, that says I see you, that promises nothing and everything at the same time. I drove home with my heart pounding so hard I could barely focus on the road. That night, Marcus was already asleep. I stood in our bathroom, staring at myself in the mirror, and I didn't recognize the woman looking back. She looked alive. The second date, we ended up at his apartment. I won't give you details because that's not what this story is about. But I will tell you this. For the first time in years, I felt wanted, not tolerated. Not accommodated, wanted. Dante touched me like I was something precious, something worth taking time with. He asked what I liked. He paid attention. He made me feel like my pleasure mattered. I cried on the drive home, not from guilt, from grief. For all the years I had convinced myself that what Marcus and I had was enough. After that night, everything shifted. I started seeing Dante twice a week. Coffee dates, dinners at his restaurant after closing, lazy Sunday mornings at his place when Marcus thought I was at yoga. I followed all the rules. I told Marcus where I was going, who I was with, when I'd be home. Full transparency, just like we agreed. But something was different now. I was different. Marcus noticed. "You seem happy," he said one morning, watching me get ready for work. There was something in his voice I couldn't quite place. Suspicion? Jealousy? Fear? "I am happy," I said, and I meant it. He wanted me to date. He just didn't want me to like it. The questions started slowly. What did Dante and I talk about? Where did we go? Was he funny? Was he smart? Was he better than Marcus at anything? I answered honestly, because those were the rules. But every honest answer seemed to chip away at something in Marcus. His confidence, his certainty, his belief that he could open this door and still control what walked through it. If you've ever seen someone regret getting exactly what they asked for, you know what's coming. One night, about 3 months in, Marcus asked to see a picture of Dante. I showed him. I watched his face as he scrolled through the photos on my phone. Dante at his restaurant. Dante and me at a concert. Dante smiling at the camera with that easy, genuine warmth that made everyone around him feel safe. Marcus handed back my phone without a word. "He seems nice," he said flatly. "He is." That was the night Marcus stopped telling me about his dates with Jessica. He said there wasn't much to tell. They were just having fun. Nothing serious, but I knew something had changed. I just didn't know how much. What I didn't know was that this was only the beginning of the unraveling. Bloco 3D4. The thing about rules in an open marriage is that they only work if both people follow them. And Marcus, I was about to learn, had been bending them since the beginning. It started with small inconsistencies. He'd say he was going out with Jessica on Thursday, but then I'd see a charge on our shared credit card from a restaurant on Tuesday that he never mentioned. He'd come home smelling like a perfume that wasn't the one he described Jessica wearing. He'd be texting late at night and angle his phone away when I walked by. I told myself I was being paranoid, jealous, that I was projecting my own guilt about how much I was enjoying Dante onto Marcus. We had rules. We had transparency. He wouldn't lie to me. But the body knows things before the mind admits them. And my body had started bracing every time Marcus came home. The truth came out on a random Wednesday afternoon. Marcus had left his laptop open on the kitchen counter, and a notification popped up. A message from someone named Amanda. Amanda, not Jessica. I should have walked away. I should have waited for him to come home and asked him directly. But I didn't. I clicked. What I found made my stomach turn inside out. Months of messages. Not just flirty texts, but deep conversations. Inside jokes, plans, the kind of intimacy that takes time to build. And the dates on the messages went back to before Marcus ever proposed opening our marriage. He hadn't wanted an open marriage because he was bored or wanted to grow together. He wanted permission. Permission to continue something he'd already started. Amanda wasn't some random match from an app. She was a coworker. Someone he'd been having an emotional affair with for almost a year before he ever sat me down with his podcasts and articles and carefully rehearsed arguments. Everything he told me was a lie. The whole thing was constructed so he could have her without losing me, so he could have both without being the bad guy. I sat at that kitchen counter for an hour, reading message after message, watching my marriage dissolve in real time. They talked about me. About how I was coming around. About how once I started dating too, I wouldn't notice how much time they spent together, about their future. Their future. When Marcus came home that night, I was still sitting there. His laptop open in front of me. His face went white the moment he walked in. "Sarah, I can't." "Amanda," I said. "Her name is Amanda, not Jessica. And you've been seeing her since before you asked me to open this marriage." He didn't deny it. He couldn't. It was all right there. "I was going to tell you," he stammered. "I was trying to find the right time. The right time was before you made me feel crazy for not wanting this. The right time was before you convinced me I was the problem. The right time was a year ago, Marcus," he tried to explain. He said it started as just a friendship, that he didn't mean for it to become more. That proposing the open marriage was his way of trying to be honest without blowing up our lives. As if lying to me for a year was somehow a kindness. But here's the thing, and I need you to understand this. I wasn't as angry as I should have been. Because by then I had Dante, the rage I expected, that righteous fury of a betrayed wife. It didn't come. Instead I felt something closer to relief. Like I'd been given permission to stop pretending. To stop trying to make this work. To stop being the good wife who supported her husband's evolution while suffocating her own needs. "You didn't want an open marriage," I told him. "You wanted permission to cheat without consequences, and the saddest part? If you had just asked me for a divorce a year ago, I probably would have given it to you. But you were too much of a coward to be honest." Marcus cried that night. He ended things with Amanda the next day, showed me the messages to prove it. He said it was over, that he made a terrible mistake, that he wanted to focus on us now. But I wasn't done with Dante. And I wasn't sure I wanted to be. The next few weeks were chaos. Marcus wanted to close the marriage immediately. He said the experiment had failed, that we needed to go back to how things were. That we could heal together if we just recommitted to each other. "You open this door," I told him. "You don't get to close it alone." He didn't understand. How could he? He'd assumed that I was only dating because he was. That Dante was a reaction, not a choice. That the moment he said he wanted to stop, I would come running back. But Dante wasn't a reaction. Dante was a revelation. I remembered our wedding day. Standing at that altar, looking at Marcus, promising to love him forever. But which version of him? The man I thought I married? Or the man who had lied to me for a year while making me feel like I was the one with the problem? The arguments got worse. Marcus wanted to know everything about my relationship with Dante, how often we talked, what we did together, whether the first loved him. I answered honestly, because I had never stopped following the rules we agreed on. Yes, we talked every day. Yes, I was happy with him. Yes, I thought I might be falling in love. That last one broke something in Marcus. He started sleeping on the couch. He'd come home from work and go straight to the guest room. We became roommates in our own house, circling each other like strangers. And then, one night, Dante said the words I've been waiting to hear. "I love you, Sarah, and I know your situation is complicated, but I want you to know that I'm here. Whatever you decide, I'm not going anywhere. And if you ever want more than this, I'm ready." I had two men who wanted me. And for the first time in my life, I had to decide what I wanted. What would you do in my place? I really want to know. Because I was about to make a choice that would change everything. Local 4D42 in the morning. That's when everything finally broke. I couldn't sleep. Hadn't been able to sleep properly in weeks. I came downstairs to get water and found Marcus sitting at the kitchen table in the dark, just sitting there. When I turned on the light, I saw his face. Red eyes, tears still wet on his cheeks. He looked like a man who had lost everything and was only now realizing it. "Sarah," he said. His voice cracked on my name. "Please, I'm begging you, let's close it. I can't do this anymore." I sat down across from him. The same table where we'd eaten thousands of meals together. Where we'd planned vacations and argued about bills and laughed at stupid jokes. Where he'd first proposed opening our marriage with that rehearsed look on his face. Now here we were, 6 months later, and he was falling apart. "I made a mistake," he said. "The biggest mistake of my life. I thought I knew what I wanted. I thought this would fix us. But I was wrong. I was so wrong, Sarah. I miss you. I miss us. I'll do anything. Therapy, counseling, whatever you want. I'll spend the rest of my life making this up to you. Just please. Please close it." I looked at him, this man I had loved for 10 years. This man I had built a life with. This man who had lied to me, manipulated me, made me feel like I was the problem, and then watched in horror as I thrived without him. And I felt something I didn't expect. Pity, not anger. Not love, not even sadness. Just this profound, hollow pity for a man who had burned down his own house and was now standing in the ashes wondering why he was cold. "Marcus," I said slowly, "why do you want to close it?" He blinked, like he didn't understand the question. "Because I love you. Because I want our marriage back." "No," I said. "Why do you really want to close it? Is it because you realized you love me? Or is it because you can't stand that I'm happy without you?" He opened his mouth to answer, then closed it. The silence stretched between us like a canyon. "You didn't want to close it when you were the one having fun," I continued. "You didn't want to close it when you were sneaking around with Amanda. You didn't want to close it when you thought I was just going through the motions at home while you lived your double life. You want to close it now because I found something real. Because I'm not waiting by the door for you anymore. Because for the first time in our marriage, I don't need you." The tears started again. His shoulders shook. I had never seen Marcus cry like this. Not at his father's funeral. Not when we lost the pregnancy 3 years ago. Never. "I know I messed up," he whispered. "I know I don't deserve another chance, but I'm asking anyway. Because I can't imagine my life without you. If this story is hitting you hard, drop a like so others can find it. Because what I'm about to tell you is the hardest part." I reached across the table and took his hand. "One last time, I said quietly. "I can't imagine my life without you." And Marcus, for the first time in years, that life looks better. He broke down completely then, sobbing, apologizing, promising to change. And I sat there holding his hand, feeling strangely calm. Like I was watching this moment from far away. I had made my decision. Not in that moment, but over the past 6 months, every time Dante made me laugh. Every time I woke up in his apartment, feeling peaceful instead of anxious. Every time I looked at my reflection and recognized the woman staring back. Marcus didn't break our marriage. Our marriage was already broken. He just gave me permission to finally see it. I didn't leave for Dante. I need you to understand that. I left for me. The divorce took 4 months. Marcus fought it at first, then gave up. He signed the papers on a Tuesday afternoon in a lawyer's office downtown. I remember he wore the tie I bought him for our 5th anniversary. I don't know if that was intentional or just cruel coincidence. He moved to Seattle a few weeks later. "Fresh start," he said. I heard through mutual friends that he's in therapy now. That he's working on himself. I hope that's true. I hope he finds whatever he was looking for when he first decided to open that door. I just know it's not my job to help him find it anymore. Dante and I are still together. But I didn't move into his place. After the divorce was finalized, I got my own apartment for the first time in my adult life. A small one-bedroom in South Austin with a balcony that overlooks a community garden. I drink my coffee there every morning and watch the sun come up and remember what it feels like to belong to myself. Dante understands. He doesn't pressure me. We see each other 3-4 times a week. We cook together. We talk about the future sometimes. Maybe one day I'll be ready for more. Maybe I won't. But for the first time, that's my choice to make. The other day, I was unpacking the last of my boxes, and I found our wedding album. I sat on the floor of my new apartment and looked through every page. Young Sarah, 25 years old, so sure she had her whole life figured out. So sure that love was about finding the right person and holding on no matter what. I don't believe that anymore. Love isn't about holding on, it's about growing. And sometimes, two people grow in different directions. Sometimes, the person you married becomes a stranger. Sometimes, you become a stranger to yourself, and you have to claw your way back to who you really are. Marcus opened a door hoping I'd be too scared to walk through it. He thought I'd dip my toe in, get overwhelmed, and come running back to the safety of our predictable little life. He was wrong. I walked through that door and found myself on the other side. You don't get to control the consequences of the doors you open. Marcus learned that, and honestly, so did I. Because when I agreed to open our marriage, I never imagined it would lead me here, to this apartment, to this peace, to this version of myself that I actually like. Cause and effect. Everything we put into the world eventually comes back to us. Marcus put dishonesty into our marriage and got a divorce. I put fear aside and got my freedom. If this story made you think about your own relationship, leave a comment. I read every single one. And if you're still here after 18 minutes of my messy, complicated truth, you already know this channel is for you. Hit subscribe. Because love is never as simple as we want it to be, and I think you understand that. This is a work of fiction created for entertainment purposes. Any resemblance to actual events or use of public names is purely narrative and does not represent real events. We respect all lifestyles and relationship choices portrayed in this story.